Good morning and welcome to this week's live Q&A on Instagram. I will be answering the question, why don't we bench press very often in CrossFit? But we'll be giving people a chance to get on here live to watch this. If you're watching this after the fact on YouTube or again on Instagram or Facebook after the fact, we do this. I do this every Thursday morning at 9 a.m. on Instagram. So, and you are free to submit questions for me to answer and just to get a better knowledge of health and fitness and CrossFit. We believe that knowledge is empowering, and that the more knowledge you have, the more you can possibly accomplish. So we want to help build a vibrant and educated fitness community. So, all right, well, so today's question, again, why don't we bench press? And this question actually came through a comment on our YouTube channel. And it initially makes me think, well, if you're asking that question about why don't we bench press in CrossFit, then you haven't been around CrossFit for very long and you don't know very much about the history of CrossFit or really understand the methodology that much. That's no fault to the person that asked the question, because we all start somewhere and we all have some amount of knowledge, and then we gain we add to that, we gain more knowledge, and we understand things more fully. So, which is the point of this video and the opportunity to ask questions. So, the short answer is we do bench press in CrossFit. There is even a benchmark workout called Linda. It often is called the 3 bars of death. It has 3 barbell movements. The rep scheme is 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 of these 3 movements. That means you do 10 of each movement, 9 of each movement, 8 of each movement, so on and so forth till you finish with 1 movement. The movements are a deadlift, and that is prescribed at 1.5 times your body weight. A bench press, which is prescribed at 1 times your body weight, and a clean, which is prescribed at 3/4 of your body weight. So 3 barbells, nothing else, going through this. It's a lot of volume, it's a lot of work, and it's a pretty gnarly workout. So bench press is in one of our benchmarks that we do from time to time. There have also been workouts in the CrossFit Games in recent years. It was it the last year they had regionals, or was it actually at the Games? I can't remember. But within the process of the CrossFit Games, there has been some events that have bench press. And it shows up every once in a while. But for the casual person, the casual observer that doesn't know anything about these benchmarks or this stuff here and it seems as though we don't bench press because we really don't do it very often. And there's a reason for that. So it all comes down to, again, the purpose of what CrossFit exists for. CrossFit exists to develop a broad and inclusive level of fitness that transfers to the most things, that makes you a more functional human being. So very rarely, if we're looking at pressing movements, the movements like a standing strict press or a shoulder press, a push press, a push jerk, any sort of pressing overhead is a movement that more mimics things we do in everyday life, as opposed to laying on a bench and pressing outward from ourselves. So it's not that the bench press isn't beneficial, and so we do it sometimes, but there is a lot more transference in making us more adept at doing whatever we need to do when we're doing an overhead press. And some of this is because the midline stability requirements of doing an overhead press are far greater than laying on a bench press or doing a bench press. So on a bench press, you're laying on the bench, right? You are digging your shoulder blades into the mat, you're pressing out as hard as you can. Your core is braced, but your core is not having to support the load that you're lifting. The bench is supporting the load that you're lifting. On a strict press, an overhead strict press, or shoulder press, or whatever you want to call it, your midline, your legs, your entire body is having to brace and support that load going overhead. So all of your body is going to be getting stronger and more resilient. Now, if you can work your way up to where you have a 200-pound press, I can guarantee that you will have a pretty decent bench press. It may not be as good as if you spent a lot of time working on your bench press, but that overhead press, if you build it up to where you're really good at it, your bench press is going to be pretty good, like really pretty good. The same is not, the same could not be said the other way around. So if you spend a lot of time working on your bench press and you have a really, really great bench press, that does not equate to a great overhead press. The mobility requirements of the overhead press, the midline stability of the overhead press, all of the line of action of the overhead, like just the technique and stuff that's there, is just, it's not, the bench press does not transfer really well to a great overhead press. And what we've just discussed is the overhead press is a little bit more functional in mimicking the demands of everyday life. So that kind of sums up why we don't bench press very much. It doesn't mean that we don't bench press. We do from time to time. Our gym here, we just got benches in. We've been open for over 5 years and haven't had benches until just the last couple months. And we've used them a couple times for different things. But it's not going to be a staple of our training, because it's more important that we develop that strong overhead press and be a more functional and capable human being than being able to say, hey, I got a 300-pound bench press, because that may or may not transfer to being a more functional human being. So again, if you have any questions about that, go ahead and put them in the comments. If you have a question for something else, go ahead and you can either send me a direct message here on Instagram, or send me an email at Clayton, Clayton, at CrossFit43north.com, and we'll get the question in the queue and get it answered for you. So hopefully that brings some clarity as to why we don't bench press very often in CrossFit. And now go and have a great weekend.